Oh my
Are we
goodness.
dark?
Hi, you guys.
Hello.
Oh, that got a little brighter. We're sitting much farther away so that we can have our table in front of us tonight to go through some of the foods that you can make, or I don't know.
And the ingredients. So what we're going to do, we were going to share 3 recipes with you
Oh,
tonight.
yes.
That's
Kat
what
put this together. So, Kat, take it away.
So we were going to share 3 recipes with you tonight. We actually made 2. Jamie made a dessert and I made a bread.
Yes.
And we didn't make the 3rd one because it's like a stew, but we'll talk about that instead of actually making it because we think you'll get the idea.
Yeah.
But you might notice this is a different view than our usual view because we needed the long tables because we got a lot of stuff on it to show you. So first I'm going to start, and I'm going to start with bread. So I made this. Look at that. Okay, so
it's not little either. Oh, it's still hot, Mom. She let me grab that. It's still hot.
It's still
hot
cooling.
on the bottom.
You can't even eat it yet.
No, but it's just like I thought she was making a little bread, and this is like it's a lot of bread.
First thing to know, I've never made bread before unless it was cornmeal or cornbread out of a box, those Jiffy boxes of cornbread. I've never, ever in my whole life, and I've been on this planet more than 60 years, I've never made bread. So, of course, I wanted something really easy. So I Googled easy bread.
Easy bread.
And I found a recipe for easy no-knead. So you don't have to do the thing,
no biscuit making like a kitten.
Easy no-knead skillet bread. And this bread, and it looks beautiful. It has 4 ingredients. It's flour.
Just 4 ingredients.
4 ingredients. It was so easy. But the ingredients are, let me tell you what the ingredients are. Bread flour, yeast, salt, and water. That's it. And
so not like flour where you find in your cupboard, because we always make cookies growing up. So
well,
there's like
it called for either called bread flour or unbleached all-purpose flour.
Okay.
And I'd never tried bread flour. So I was like, I just went and got the ingredients today. I got this stuff at the Walmart grocery store. In case you're wondering, do I have to go somewhere special to buy these special ingredients to make bread? No. But the other thing that goes in this bread is patience, because
that's right. It's a 4 ingredient bread with the 5th one being patience.
The 5th one is patience because it's easy to make, but there's a waiting time. So you mix the bread, you mix the ingredients up, and then you have to let it rise for an hour and a half. And then you
do that in the same pan? Or?
No, this was in a separate pan in the bowl where I mixed it up. So you're letting it rise in the bowl that you mix it up in.
And that's when it just gets fluffy.
It gets fluffy. You cover it with plastic or a dish rag, and I use plastic. So like puffed up nice, it gets like twice the size. And then once that hour and a half, once it's risen for an hour and a half, then you put oil on it, and you have to kind of get it out carefully. You don't knead it or any of that stuff. You just kind of break it away from the bowl, and then you kind of form it, and then you put it into a pan that you're going to bake it in. So this was supposed to be in a cast iron skillet, but you guys, I didn't want to spend $20 at Walmart on a cast iron skillet that I was never going to use again. So I just used a baking dish. So if you are making things, don't ever feel like you have to have the exact thing that they call for. You can always improvise.
Yes.
But this was really, it smells wonderful. I added rosemary to it. And I think that's the thing about breads when you're making them. Like, I want to get into making breads now because it was so much fun. And I can't wait to try some of it.
I love that for you, though.
It's got rosemary in it. And rosemary, where's my little rosemary? Let me tell you about rosemary. Well, I've got a card for rosemary.
It smells amazing.
So first of all, rosemary smells amazing. I actually... I got these from Jamie's garden yesterday. She's got a massive rosemary plant in her garden.
It's like a tree bush.
It's
a trush. It's a trush.
So the rosemary. So what we're gonna do. The ingredients. Some of the ingredients, or many of the ingredients that we're going to talk about, have a correspondence to this time of the year and to magic, and they have magical properties.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing to know. So this is basically rosemary bread. And rosemary is associated with the sun and fire, which that's what Yule is about. The sun and the fire.
Yes.
Sun and fire. So we're waiting for the sun we're celebrating that the sun's going to rise again, come back again.
That's right. The sun is disappearing for its longest amount of time because we're going to see the darkest night or the longest night. And I just thought of this, but all the circles that you guys have, so baking stuff in a circle, eating out of circles, the circle is the symbol for the sun as well. So it's like sun, all these
sun, fire,
energy.
fire with cooking it,
fire, yeah.
So
the warmth.
So rosemary, the powers of rosemary are protection, love, lust, mental powers, healing, and sleep. Yeah. And you can also, so this wonderful, I would love to have a tree of it in my house that smells so good. Yes. But you can burn rosemary for cleansing and purifying. You can carry it around with you for good luck. Good health. You can hang it over your doorways to keep thieves away. That's always a good thing. Or you can put it in your bath for purification. So that is, those are some magical properties of rosemary. And I just have to tell you that I loved making bread, and it was really easy for me. I thought it was relaxing, and I'm remembering, as I don't have kids anymore, and so I live alone.
I'm still here.
Kids, little kids.
You're not raising kids anymore.
I'm not raising kids anymore.
She just tried to disown me, you guys. Did you hear that? I don't have kids anymore.
Well, you know what I'm saying. But if I was a young mom now and I knew what I knew today, I would probably spend my time relaxing and cooking things in the kitchen, because I found it therapeutic almost to make this bread and just watch the whole thing develop. And I really liked it. It was calming. And it might have been the rosemary in it that helped with that. I'm not sure. Well,
so in thinking about that, because you were a single mom, cost-wise, do you think cost-wise with making the bread or the ingredients that you got, it's more time consuming than buying a loaf of bread, but for cost, could you make more bread out of that?
I think you could, because I bought so the biggest thing was the flour, and it was less than $5, and I probably used a little less than half of the 5-pound bag of flour for this, because it was four cups. I don't know how many's in there, but that's another thing. It wasn't expensive. It was the time. But here's how I envision myself doing it. Like if this was the olden days when I was raising, when my kids were young.
She was tapping into her ancestry line. That's what was going on.
What I imagined was making, getting this bread started and letting it rising. And then while it's doing that, like making a stew. So or a roast or something like that. So one of the things that we would put with this, I think for this time of year, is something that you're simmering in a crock pot or a pot on your stove, so that it's smelling up your house, and you're adding all of these different ingredients that we have available to us at this special time of the year, and just really vibing with all of these
things that make you feel warm. I think that's like the center of this, is that these are foods that make you feel warm and comforted
and nostalgic,
and they're shareable.
And I also felt some nostalgia as I was doing this, because it likened me back to when the kids were little, and I wish I had made bread. Now I wish I'd made bread for my kids. I feel bad that they didn't get that, but
you know what
I was busy.
You listen. You know what you did do is you always made baked goods. So we grew up, she made fudge and peanut brittle, and
I was a big candy maker,
big baker type. So that's what I learned to cook. I didn't learn to cook normal food for myself. That didn't happen. I was like, I can make cookies and cake look really good, and peanut brittle and fudge.
I used to love to make fudge.
Yeah,
I used to love to make fudge.
I used to make fudge for people when I was in the Navy and take it into them, because I'm like, I can't eat all this, but it felt like home when I would cook like that. So that's what I'm hearing, is you really connected with something as you.
I really did, and I really encourage you. I've worked a long time. And I'm telling you, I wish I had done this before, because especially this time of year when it's dark, it's dark at 5:00 and it's cold, or
5:00. No, in some places it's like 3 p.m. and the sun is setting.
So, and it's the perfect time for doing things like this, where you're in the kitchen and you're, doing your kitchen witch stuff. So
kitchen witching.
All right, Jan, we're gonna talk about dessert now.
Okay, I made a savory type dish that can be a dessert. It can literally be anything that you want it to, but tonight I made it with honey and walnuts. But it is basically a pie crust with Brie cheese in the middle of it, and then you put honey and walnuts or any kind of nut that you want on there, and then you bake it for like 25 minutes.
And you fold I'm
going to show you. So I'm going to make it here in front of you guys so you can see how easy this is, and the ingredients too.
Are you really going to make it?
Yeah, I never pictured myself with a cooking show.
Do you need me to move my bread?
No. Oh, you can if you want to.
Okay.
It's just, I have never made it quite like this before. And I've never bought pre-made pie dough ever. So No, is that what this is? Yeah, pie crust, not pie dough, but pie
Pie
crust.
crust.
This is how easy it is, you guys. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
If I mess it up, it's going to be really funny, right? Everybody laugh with me. Okay.
I love this. I did not know we were doing a cooking demo
Hey,
tonight.
demo. Pie dough. I still have a hard time saying this. Pie crust,
Pie
not
crust,
dough. I'm
pie
so used to
crust.
calling it dough. You just unroll this little guy. You lay him in your pan. Are you keeping this one after I make it? Because it's going to be made now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought this one was for me.
Oh, talk about the honey, because this is
okay.
the ingredients in this go along with Yule as well.
All right, do I have honey? Okay, so honey. Do you know honey has been around for eons? Like, I mean, it's
Since
ancient,
bees have been around,
ancient,
right?
Yeah, ancient civilizations like used honey. And you can use, in addition to all the things you can do with it with baking, you can also use it as an offering to the gods, fairies, ancestors, or spirits. So last week we talked about an ancestor altar. So I could see having some honey,
or a slice of this. You can put food next to pictures or like candies and stuff.
But use honey because it has that connection to other worlds and ancestry, the ancients,
the
right?
timeline.
Yeah. Let's see. So, and also honeybees were sacred to numerous ancient civilizations. Yeah.
Cultures.
Yeah. So, and I did not know that. So when I looked at the magical properties of honey, I was like, oh my gosh, I love honey. I've just broken it out. But yeah, it's really good. Okay, so that's
one of the
magical
ingredients
properties
in there.
That's one of the ingredients of Jamie's. The another ingredient that Jamie has in this dish is nuts. So let me tell you something about nuts while you're going ahead and preparing.
Okay. Remember circles, right? Circle pie crust, circle pan. Circle Brie.
Oh, okay, there we go. So
Brie
just
cheese.
think sun. Every time you see a circle, think of the sun.
Okay, so
especially this time of year.
This Brie cheese is from Costco. It's definitely like the Kirkland brand, I think. Yes. Oh, that scared Tink. And it's a huge wheel of cheese. You only need about 10 ounces for this, so you do not need a massive one. So what I did is I actually cut mine in half. Like the top of it is gone. But if you do that when you're using like a wider piece of Brie rather than like a tall and small one, like coin size.
Yeah.
When it's open like this, it will melt into the pan like mine did.
Yeah.
Because the wax part of this, or whatever it's called, the cheese sheath, it will contain the melted cheese in it. And so it won't actually spill out until you break into this tasty little dessert. And most people eat this with like crackers or something. So it's a dessert, but it's also kind of a dip. It could
be an appetizer.
It could be, it's something that you sit down with.
It could be a really fancy appetizer.
Charcuterie board type stuff. So all you're going to do is take the Brie circle. You're going to put it in the pan. I have about 3/4 of a cup of walnuts here, and Kat's going to talk about walnuts.
Yeah, so the powers of walnuts are fertility, prosperity, luck, and love. So use lots of them. This is why we're putting them in cookies and anything that we're baking, salads, all that stuff. But when you use nuts, start thinking about what those nuts really represent and cooking with intention. If you're trying to have a baby, nuts are about fertility. So you could be thinking about about that.
That's what I was about to do. So now that I've put my main ingredients in here, I'm going to sprinkle honey on, and then also I would say something to myself, and you create a feeling that you want as people are consuming this. Are you trying to create harmony or happiness,
or spread love? Because this is nuts are about love too. So
they're highly nutritious. they pack all the power of a little tree. So what you would, to make this truly magical for yourself or your family, is like when you're making it, thinking about what you want to get from it, or what it's meaning for you. That's why we're giving you the magical properties of the items. So you would do that. And then as you fold things in, first I'm going to sprinkle honey inside, and then I do it on the outside too, because I like honey. But there's no measurement to this. It's just how much or how little. And you can use jams, you can use marmalade, you can use whatever you want to make this sweet, but we chose honey and walnuts. And so you're just going to bloop, 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 bloop. That's it, because the cheese is going to melt. So it's all going to be gooey, ooey together. It's going to be great. And since walnuts are not like a sweet nut, and they're not super salty, they're more of like a hearty earth nut, the sugar really helps balance them out. So I've put half of my roughly 3/4 of a cup of almonds in there, and I kind of pressed them in too. And now you get to do the pretty part.
You get to show them.
Sorry, yes. I've never been on a cooking show before. So I press the walnuts in there. You can see how they're not falling off, and then I just like the honey on there.
Drizzled,
squirted. I don't know. It's not a drizzle. It's more than a drizzle because I like honey.
I know, right?
And then all you're going to do is like fold this over the top, and you can make it look super pretty. You can, give it designs. They say pinch it. There were instructions that you were supposed to wet your fingers, but if you've left this out at room temperature because it comes refrigerated, you don't really have to wet your hands. It doesn't stick to anything. So that is all you do with that. I'm going to finish it up with just that. Are you cooking this after I leave?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So Kat's getting this one.
Cooking. Right. What are
you just heat it up for 25 minutes.
Okay.
30 if you want it a little more.
So you're
brown,
just kind of like doing. And didn't they brush butter on the crust too?
Or egg. Yeah,
butter
you can do an
egg
egg wash, for browning, but it browns by itself. I didn't use that. I put honey on top of it, which browned it just fine. It looks like a big dumpling to me. Like if you like dumplings. So you can try to make it as pretty as you want or not. And then all I did for the browning part of it was sprinkle some more honey. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Love and light and warmth. Yes, all of that.
Love and light and warmth.
And I like toasted nuts, so I put more nuts on top, and they brown very nicely. And that is it. And now I've made Kat's dessert that she's going to bake later.
Because that one's going home because her husband wanted it. He didn't know it was for
He almost got into it.
He almost broke into it. And she's like, no. I
was like, that's for my meeting. You're going to ruin it. But with mine, the way that it leaked out, this cheese that's on the side here, even though it looks maybe gross or weird on screen, it's really like those cheese flake things that people get. What are those called? Like cheese baked things where they just bake cheese and it's a cheese chip thing. Cheese crisp, something like that. Okay. My husband loves that stuff. So I made sure that I had runny cheese. You don't have to have runny cheese. Okay, I'm going to slide this over here now.
Okay.
And that, yes. Okay.
And that.
Okay. Now it's time for you to talk about
your
stew ingredients.
Okay, so some of the things that you can add just for magic ingredients. This is thyme. This is fresh thyme. So you know how you go to the grocery store and you in the produce section and they always have those little things in bags.
Yeah,
right? They're little. So you know what? They're like $4, and I end up killing them because you can't keep them watered. So for this time, I want to keep it alive. So I put it in a little dish, and I'm going to keep water in it so that it's always getting water because they don't have enough in there. But you can add thyme to your food, your stews, or whatever you're making. So here's the powers of
magical properties of thyme.
Magical properties of thyme. The powers is health, healing, sleep, psychic powers, love, purification, and courage. And in addition to using it in your food, you can burn it to attract good health. You can place it under your pillow for good sleep. You can wear it to promote psychic abilities, or you can inhale it to give, if you're going somewhere and you're like, or your family's coming over and you're like, I need the courage not to say anything to my mother-in-law, smell it, like inhale it, that will give you courage that you need to deal with, maybe rambunctious or not, everybody's got that one family member, right?
Well, or situations. I'll tell you about a time I used time in a spell for me to help keep my mouth shut and not be snarky and just try to keep the peace, because I knew I was going into a situation where there were going to be a lot of people that I don't vibe well with, but it was a family function and I really just needed to be on my best behavior, and I wanted other people to be on theirs as well. So there was protection element to it as also. So for me and my husband, I made us these little tiny spell bags, and I was like, we're carrying these with us to this event and we're not getting in any trouble and no fights are being started, and we're just this isn't our scene and it's one day and we will be fine. We're just going to do this. So time was one of the things that I used, because when you said, the whole like snarkiness or, protection from yourself sometimes of wanting to tell people what you think when they do dumb stuff.
And a lot of times it's best just to not.
Don't waste the energy on it. It's like our egos take over sometimes and then it just spills out and you're like, it might feel good in the moment, but it doesn't feel good later.
I have really learned, and this has come really late in my life, I have really learned that it's much better just to smile and try to make people, to try to create an environment of harmony rather than to, assert my whatever, independence, knowledge, whatever, like you're wrong,
Opinion.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares really? Like, who really cares? Nobody gives a crap. So I'm all about, keeping the peace. And, this is the time of year when tensions can get high and people are under stress. And we know there's a lot of crap going on in the country and people are worried about it. And so I guess the thing we want to stress is to try to create this harmonious space in your house. If you're by yourself, or if you have kids and you're raising them and a husband, or if you're hosting your Christmas dinner with your family or some kind of a meal, and you're hosting a bunch of people over at your house. I encourage you to think about harmony and peace and bring the things into your environment that can help you have that. Even if the other people in your house are acting crazy as hell, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Because you can walk away, you can go take a walk in nature, you can make you a little glass of wine. But anyways, try to stay out of the drama because you'll be happier for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the things,
lastly,
so we picked up some things that are pretty common that you can get this time of year, because we know that not everything's available to us, although a lot of it is because they're shipping it from all over the world.
Yeah, like you could buy a watermelon right now. It'll cost a lot because it comes from South America.
If you want to stay within your budget, shop the things that are seasonal. So
local markets, maybe.
Yeah. So I have some things in this bowl here that we're going to go through and tell you about the magical properties of these items that are available to us now. So
this is one of my favorite things to cook, and it's super simple. This is butternut squash, and if you get it canned or inside of stuff, you really cannot appreciate the taste of butternut squash if you've never made it. It's very simple. You peel it like a cucumber, you slice it up, and you bake it until it gets gooey. There's so much sugar in these that it actually turns into a very sweet treat. And if you sprinkle just a little bit of salt on it before you bake it, and it's the sweet and salty, oh my God.
And I think if you were making a stew, you could probably throw some squash. You could probably
you could. You don't get the same taste like if you bake it, but it's highly nutritious.
And you know what? I'm going to speak for myself. I don't spend enough time taking things that are now, like cooking from scratch, I guess, because I think
canned stuff.
Like taking the shortcuts, which I get, especially when we're all really busy. But, this was the time of year when the ancients, our ancestors. So this was the time of year when people were going indoors because it was going to be cold. It was going to be too cold. And they had cellars where they kept, things that would store. They kept the harvest so that they could have that to eat, because they weren't going to be going out to their garden and picking anything fresh. So they had to store these things. So they ate the things that they were able to store and that would last through the winter. Yeah. And, we've gotten disconnected from the seasons, the changing of the seasons and what's happening, the cycles, all the cycles that we're going through. And this is a time because, the earth is going quiet. Mother Earth is going quiet. That's what's happening this time of year.
Dormant.
And a lot of people get sad, what's it called? Whatever the,
I was thinking melancholy, but what were you thinking?
Well, there's a sad, it's an acronym for, Tracy's going to know. Tracy couldn't join us today.
Oh my God. She's at a Christmas. She's at a party.
All right. Well, it's, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's when people get really depressed when the days are really short. But, our ancestors, and if we think back to that time of people living with the cycles and working with the cycles of Earth, and if we can go back to that and just sort of take ourselves out of this modern environment where we just feel like we have to constantly be doing, going, or, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing or whatever, we're not satisfied.
It's the outside pressure that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Other people.
And try to realize that this was the time where people spent more time in bed. They spent more time in quiet, and it was good for them because with everything, when you go dormant, if you will, and then you're conserving.
So there's this conservation period, right?
But you're also regenerating.
Yeah. Well, that's what sleep and conservation does. It's not a pure hibernation, but you were conserving resources by, staying in bed longer.
Yeah,
or...
the ancients went to bed early because, and I'm calling them the ancients. I just read that because I love it. The ancients are ancient ancestors. So the ancients, they went to bed early so that they could conserve candles. And then they stayed in bed in the morning because, to stay warm so that they wouldn't have to use firewood. So they were very conscious of their resources. And we're just so fortunate. We just have so many resources in this world. But for me, I feel like it's a good time to step back and like try to live that more, I don't know, the natural rhythm of what's
earth connectedness.
Yeah. Especially as a witch, to be more
cycle.
connected to the cycle of what's going on the earth, and to learn to appreciate that and appreciate this downtime.
Acknowledge and appreciate.
Let's talk about squash or gourds. So this is associated with the sun and fire.
This is an acorn squash. I've made these many times and I never truly like them. You can put stuffing in them because I don't eat turkey. So you can kind of make it like a vegetable turkey, I guess. That's the best way.
I've never eaten, I see these all the time. And I'm like, I've never had an acorn, not that I know of, no. But I bet you can find recipes that have acorn squash in them, and it would be really good.
And they're really easy to cook. You literally you don't have to peel these. You cut them in half. You pull out the seeds, which you can plant in your garden. They will just grow. And then you put stuff in it if you want to. You could just like stick a square of butter in there, like a tablespoon of butter, and cook it, and it caramelizes, and you just eat it like that. It's kind of like a potato. And then of course the skin you don't eat, but that's the way that I've always cooked acorn squash. But I love their little shape. Aren't they cute?
So these are other vegetables that have been around for eons. I mean, when you think about what people were able to grow back in, 400 years ago.
And save for later. So the last harvest would have been Samhain, right? October 31st. That would have been the last time that we were pulling things from the field. And then these things last a very long time. I've had a butternut squash last me 6 months when it's just sitting on my shelf at home. So these were things that they knew that they could have, and that they didn't have to eat right away, that it could last through the winter time.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why they're important.
And what's really great about squash is that they increase your awareness of spirituality. That's one of their
I know. I don't know where that comes from.
The energy is spirituality. So they've been around, maybe because they've been around for so long. They're
that lineage connection.
They're associated with the ancestors. Okay. Next up, we have a pomegranate.
I love pomegranates.
So, I don't know. We can only get these certain times of years, right?
Well, you can get them, but they're just really expensive because they have to come from somewhere else. So we can grow them in America, though.
So pomegranates, pomegranates are symbols of prosperity, hope, and abundance. They're also known for protection, wisdom, wishes, growth, death, rebirth, and new beginnings. So they're totally like this time of the year, right? Yeah. With the whole cycle.
Death and rebirth.
Death and rebirth. Yes. Okay.
Persephone's fruit.
Persephone's fruit. And what's next?
An orange.
All right. So oranges. Oh my gosh, oranges.
We live in Florida, remember?
So they are also, so look at, what is the shape of that? Oh, it's the sun.
It's a sun.
Oh my gosh. It's
perfect symbol of the sun.
So they are associated with the sun and fire. They're a love fruit. They are associated with love, divination, luck, and money.
Yeah.
And
success.
And so you can use the dried peels and seeds to add to love sachets.
We went over this many, many meetings ago. Say it however you want.
Sachets? How do you say it?
No, I'm not even trying. I say little baggy. That's what I say.
Yeah, the things you carry around with you.
Cloth
Hang up your
I call it a spell bag.
That's spell bag. There you go. If you peel them, you can add them to spells or potions. Yeah. You can slice them and dry them and use them for decor. We've all seen those really witchy Yule logs. I love the sliced oranges that are dried. They just make the cutest garland ever.
They smell great too.
And you can make drinks with them or punch and garnish them with sliced oranges. And then
mule wines and ciders have sliced.
Okay, so here's something that you can do that's super witchy. So, do you have a yes or no question that you want answered from the universe? Eat an orange and count the seeds in the orange. Of course, as you're eating the orange, you're thinking about the question. So, of course, because you're seeking an answer from the universe. When you count the seeds, orange divination, exactly. So, if you get an uneven number of seeds, the answer is yes. And if you get an odd number of seeds, and if you get an even number of seeds, the answer is no. So there is that's like, I read that.
Here's a good way to remember that: odd and even. If it's even, it's no, right? That's what you said.
If it's even, it's no. Yeah.
No has 2 letters, which is an even number, and yes has 3, which is an odd number. So
that's a good way. Thank you for that.
To remember,
how are you ever going to remember?
Right? I wouldn't know. So that clicked in my head, and there you go.
And there you go.
Even.
Okay. And lastly, I
apples.
think we have apples, which you can almost always get all year around.
Yes.
So the powers of apples are love, healing, garden magic, immortality, and peace. They symbolize the first garden, Eden. In some beliefs, there was one.
Well, it's a garden fruit, so I can see how people today say like first gardens or beginnings because of the story of the Garden of Eden, but it's not that you have to believe in that in order to know that that's what this means, but it's an easy reference because we all got told that in school, right?
But in the past, they used apples to decorate the Yule tree.
Right? Because they were colorful. So they didn't create things that had color. There wasn't a lot of, this right here, you can stain a lot of things with some pomegranate juice. When you're peeling these and those little seeds bust and they get on you, it will stain stuff. And it's a beautiful color. So one of the reasons why this is a prosperity fruit or it's about money, or there's so many seeds in there.
So many seeds, yeah.
The amount of seeds is what makes it that way.
So that would be great for a prosperity spell if you want to do that. Or to put into, if you had a punch, if you were making a punch for like your Christmas dinner or something, it might be nice to add to that with other seasonal fruit type things that are available, just purely for looks, if nothing else. But you can imbue that punch with wishing prosperity onto the people. Well,
I used a pomegranate in my one spell that I did for my wedding day, and it was for the success of weather. And I used a pomegranate, and of course it worked. But there was also no breeze, and this was in June in Florida, so it was still pretty hot, but it didn't rain. Which in June in Florida, it's supposed to rain 18 days out of the month. So
it was brutal.
It was very hot. We could have used some breeze. That would have been nice.
Okay, lastly, we have cranberries, which, cranberries are everywhere right now. So cranberries are associated with the root chakra and abundance, energy, healing, and love. So a lot of the things that we've talked about are associated with love. And it makes me think about just family gatherings and love and how, it's interesting that so many of the things that we've talked about have one of their magical properties is that they're associated with love. And lastly, I just want to say, so I have to show you guys this. So I just bought a bowl of those mixed nuts, that you can get right now. They're like walnuts and stuff like that. And then I just wanted to share with you that this.
Is that the original one?
This nutcracker has been around since Jamie was little, probably since maybe even before Jamie was born.
Now I'm going to tell on you.
That's how old this nutcracker is, and it still works. And you know what I was thinking as I was cracking open, I feel like, again, now that hindsight's 2020, right? So I'm just thinking about when the kids were little, I could have had them occupied by cracking nuts. We used to have a thing that you dug them out. Yeah, there was a little pick thing that went with us. I don't know if I have that anymore. But remember, we talked about nuts being
fertility,
and prosperity, and all of that. So that's it. And Jamie's going to tell on me now. She has a story from her childhood.
Okay, it's just hilarious because my mom moved here like 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, right? And I'm helping her with like the house and the decor and putting her stuff away and everything. And then I go into her kitchen and what do I see? The same old plastic spoon that she used to swat us with that's still around and hasn't broken and is like maybe a little more less colorful than it used to be, but it's the same damn spoon. And I'm like, Mom, you have not replaced this spoon yet? So I can believe that this is from when I was like little, because for some reason she still has this. I'm 42. This spoon has to, I was 8.
Yeah.
7?
Yeah. When we lived in,
this belongs in a museum now. It's ancient. Talk about the ancients. Here's an ancient spoon right here that's lasted way beyond its years. Yeah. I can't even tell you. It doesn't really hurt, but it sounds like it would hurt.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I broke enough brushes on their butts The brushes broke really easy
They
when you're
did.
swatting the kids on the butt.
Yeah.
But the spoon, it stood the test of time.
Obviously. So I just think that's really
Okay.
funny. I didn't realize you had like that old original.
I do, and I mean, I just don't.
It does look old, just so you know.
I know, I realize that, but it still works.
It
It's
does,
like,
yeah.
why get rid of it?
No,
I know
no.
there's probably fancier, pretty ones out there.
No.
Just
It
like
has a
spoons,
story.
there's better looking spoons than this out there that I can have in my kitchen. But you know what? It's utilitarian, and I don't care what it looks like. And besides, I have memories.
Oh, thank you. So do I. Trauma during the holidays, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, we're sitting so far away that right now we're gonna take a moment to thank everybody for being here.
Yes.
Recognize the people who are here. Answer any questions because we're sitting. I can't really read them.
I
I'm
can
gonna let
read.
Jamie. I'll let
Okay.
Jamie read them. I could if
wanna
I
say-
squint.
I want to say hi to Selena and Jenny and Nonica. Hi, you guys. Stacy, thank you for coming on. Joellen. Hi.
Oh my gosh, Joellen!
I can't read as much, but I do know that Selena makes bread because I've seen pictures of it. And she did like the
Oh, wow.
cross buns one and like just the stuff. So
Selena, we need to hang out.
Now Kat wants to get into the bread making, so you're gonna have to bring some tips. She's
Yeah.
gonna be there Saturday.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I heard that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
is that? Did you catch everybody? Okay. we
Yes,
got it.
I
any,
did.
Any questions?
Yeah.
No
No,
questions,
I don't
right?
think so. It's so hard to
Okay.
read, but
Yeah.
yeah. See, Joellen let us know that it's called seasonal affective disorder.
Thank you, Joellen.
Yeah.
Joellen, thank you
For that sadness
Seasonal, yeah,
during the
sad.
time of
That's
year,
the
yeah.
acronym. Seasonal. What?
It literally is sad. Seasonal affective disorder.
Seasonal effect. Yeah, I knew it was sad.
Sad.
I knew that was an acronym, but I couldn't remember what it stood for. I just knew it had to do with the dark time of the year. So.
When you said sad, I was like melancholy. I was looking for synonyms.
No,
on that.
I was actually using the acronym for
Oh.
seasonal affective disorder, but I just
No.
didn't know. Thank you,
Yes.
Joellen, for supplying us.
We
that.
appreciate your guys' support
Yes,
here
thank
as
you
we
so much.
struggle through things like what was that called? Well, we hope you enjoyed tonight and learned something and try some of this, or at least know now some magical properties. You don't have to eat everything. Just having it around can be as effective as putting it in your
Absolutely.
dishes. So,
I mean, I was thinking about
Yeah.
decorations that you could do. You could do a bowl with stuff in it and
Yeah.
just like,
I always think of mantras because you don't have to do a full-on spell for these things, but to imbibe doesn't that mean
Imbue.
drink?
imbue.
To imbue or to sort of put your own power and take
Yeah.
power from that to create that connection with it so that it has purpose, because otherwise we are just handling normal everyday objects, right? If we don't think about what they actually represent for us. I chewed on that.
Ew.
She picked up my chewed cranberry. I don't like
what
the
is
skin.
that?
You eat the inside. The skin
Oh,
is tough. Yeah.
All right.
I forgot what I was saying now because she picked up the cranberry that I was chomping on. But we hope that you enjoyed this, that you got something from it, and that you'll try something out.
Yeah,
And
thank
let
you
us
for
know.
being here. It was super
Yeah,
fun.
thank
It was
you.
actually really fun doing this. This is our
Very
first time
different.
doing like a cooking show.
Yeah. And you know what? We haven't eaten the two things that both of us made yet. So once we get off here, we're actually going to try it. And if it's terrible, we'll put it in the comments. But I'm pretty sure it'll be okay.
Not going to be terrible.
Listen, I've made bad bread. I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It's just not
I've
tasty.
literally never made bread unless it was Jiffy cornbread.
Oh, no.
Never. Like,
I
what
made
a shame
offering.
is that?
Well, I made offering bread.
Oh, I
and
remember
Jolie-
that stuff. It's terrible. It's like salt and flour and water.
It's three
awful.
ingredients, yeah. Well, it's
It's
not.
not-
It's meant to be an offering.
Yes.
So
if
it's
you've
using
ever made
little-
the like, what is that for? The
Any of
bone or
in
any
bulk,
in
yeah.
bulk? Okay.
So it can be any of the holidays.
I
but
remember
I make it
making
then.
the bread, the offering bread.
You
And
remember
then
tasting
I
it?
remember tasting. I was like,
It wasn't. It could be better. I'm glad we have
it
different
was
things now.
pretty bad, but the spirits probably liked it.
It was. It's in the intention. It's
yeah.
no, okay.
It
I
wasn't.
should've
It
put
wasn't
honey on it.
It wasn't. It wasn't meant. It wasn't really meant to be eaten.
Yeah.
Eaten. So. All right, guys. Well, thank you for being with us. And next week we're going to be making drinks, and we're probably going to be right here with alcohol spread all over the table.
Alcohol, ingredients,
Yep.
showing you how to
So,
make it. Yeah.
And yeah.
And maybe at least one non-alcoholic, right?
Oh yeah, we have
Yeah.
to do a non-alcoholic because you got kids. You can't, you can't buzz the kids up.
Legally,
You
cannot.
could, but
No.
probably wouldn't want to do that.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys
All
next
right,
Thursday.
thanks, you guys. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
You have the control for that.